Gift and a friend are outside playing with some radio-controlled aircrafts. The friend talks about Gift's admission into a university in the UK, and asks when she'll leave. Gift replies that she won't leave, and the boy expresses surprise at Gift's response. Later, while in a taxi, Gift's mother Fen speaks with one of her clients, telling her that they've prepared to sell his house. As soon as the call ends, Fen's spouse Jamrus turns to Fen and tells her to put her work aside for a moment, especially since it's their daughter's birthday. Fen quickly rebukes Jamrus, asking him how they are going to handle their expenses if she stays calm like him and misses the job. Besides, their daughter has just got an admission into a UK university and they don't really know how much they'd be needing to handle the processes involved. Jamrus then asks Gift if she has decided the place for vacation, but Gift tells him she feels they should not be doing all of these. Fen then shuns Gift, telling her that they postponed an appointment with an MP who helped her with her admission simply because of her. Jamrus tells Fen to be easy on Gift. Fen finally decides they'll go to a resort in Phuket. She tells the driver to take them to the airport. At the airport, we meet a team of 4 flight attendants, including most notably Nu. About a decade ago, some supernatural occurrences in the plane had left all the passengers dead, except for Nu, who survived by closing her eyes until the plane landed, an experience that made her undergo psychotherapy. Now she's fit to fly again. The 4 flight attendants then head to the plane. Across the airport's departure, passengers are seated, waiting for the right time to board the plane. One of such passengers is Anne, a tourist from Hong Kong. She moves closer to the monk sitting next to her, probably to ask him a question. But the monk tells her it's not appropriate for her to come closer to him. The monk then gets up and moves to a different seat. Jamrus stares at Gift's screen while she's playing a game. He asks her what game she's playing and then taps at a spot on the screen, ruining the game she's currently playing. Gift turns and scowls at him. Meanwhile, some flight engineers are currently running a check on the plane that is about to take off, to ensure that everything is in place. Bank, one of the engineers, confirms and signs that the plane is ready to fly. While still sitting at the departure, Anne gets harassed by another passenger, named Tony, who holds her hand firmly. But Wave, a dreadlocked passenger sitting opposite Anne, intervenes and frees Anne's hand from the man's grip. Wave then sits next to Anne. It's almost time to take off now, so the passengers board the plane and settle down. Gift sits behind her mother Fen and her spouse Jamrus, but when she is tired of listening to them argue, Gift gets up and moves to a different seat. Outside the plane, Bank notices an unusual sound in the cargo compartment. He opens the door to the compartment and climbs in. Some ghostly figures walk past him while he's in there, but he doesn't notice this. When he tries to leave, he figures out that the door has been locked, so he starts banging on it, but no one responds. He tries to communicate with his walkie-talkie, but no one responds either. Inside the plane, Nu tries to encourage an elderly woman who has acrophobia to relax. She tells the woman to close her eyes and count up to 20. As she counts the numbers, Nu returns to the rest of the flight crew and informs them about the elderly woman who deserves special attention and care. Soon 3 flight attendants start dancing in the cabin, entertaining the passengers. The dance ends with most of the passengers clapping excitedly. Nu calls the captain and informs him that they are ready. The plane then takes off, with Bank still trapped in the cargo compartment. In the crew rest compartment, Prince, the male attendant, tries to open a cabinet to get some cups, but he's unable to open the cabinet. Nu then asks him to step aside so she can open it. She hits the top of the cabinet with a fist and gets a flashback from her previous flight. When she turns, she sees a ghostly figure and screams, but then the ghost quickly disappears, and her colleagues are left confused about why she acted the way she did. Nu steps into the cabin and walks towards the elderly woman. Bloody footprints appear behind her and quickly disappear as she walks. Gift moves to the other side of the plane, just in front of the monk. She asks the monk if he also saw what happened, but the monk denies and says he didn't see anything. Meanwhile, still trapped in the cargo compartment, Bank presses the pressure control button and then collapses. Wave enters the bathroom to wash his face and notices that the lighting in the bathroom is unsteady. But then it's not just in the bathroom, the entire cabin is affected as well, and the flight attendants walk around, encouraging the passengers to remain calm. A ghostly figure appears behind Wave in the bathroom and scratches across his chin, but Wave doesn't notice the ghost yet. Tony, the passenger who tried to intimidate him earlier, gets possessed by a ghost. He stands up, and the flight attendants try to calm him. They ask him to sit, but he says he can't breathe. Then some prominent veins appear on his face. His head makes a complete 360-degree turn, after which his neck snaps and he falls to the ground. The ghost which possessed him now seems to have departed from his body, and the flight attendants assist him until he's seated again. And notices a cut on Wave's face when he returns to the cabin. She asks Wave what happened to his face, and Wave touches the spot on his face. He then reaches out to one of the flight attendants and tells her he has a cut on his face and needs a band-aid. The attendant tells Wave that his face looks perfectly well, and just then the cut strangely disappears and he tells the attendant never mind. In the cockpit, the co-pilot, Man, notices that the pressure control system is giving a warning and reports to the captain. The captain asks him to go and check the cargo compartment and see if there is a dog or a cat in there. Man steps out of the cockpit and goes to the cargo compartment. He finds Bank trapped in there and helps pull him out. Soon the oxygen level in the plane starts to reduce significantly, and the passengers struggle for air. New asks Bank what's going on and Bank tells her they are running out of oxygen, and she needs to get the oxygen tank. New leaves the cabin, and Banks manages to release the oxygen masks for the passengers before falling to the ground. When New returns to the cabin, she has an oxygen container in hand, and most of the passengers have passed out. Then she sees a ghostly figure moving a cart and asking the passengers if they want some more tea or coffee. The passengers soon regain consciousness and start using the oxygen masks, but 2 female flight attendants have already suffocated. Bank tries to get into the cockpit, but the password isn't working, and afterwards he decides to go to the cargo compartment and fix the air pressure system before they run out of oxygen. Bank and New then go down to the cargo compartment and figure out that it's all strange down there. They find Man's flashlight, but can't find Man around. In any case, they decide they have to fix the air pressure system first, before it's too late. Fen is upset, so she starts yelling at everybody, including the elderly woman in front of her whom she tells to breathe softly. Jamrez moves closer to Gift and starts talking to her, but Gift gets up and moves to the other side of the cabin. Gift requests a drink, and Prince tells her to get it from the fridge. She goes to the fridge and gets the bottle of wine and starts to drink. Her reason for doing that is that the oxygen masks can only sustain them for the next 15 minutes, after which they will all die, so it probably makes sense to get drunk in these last few minutes. While trying to fix the air pressure system, New runs out of oxygen and nearly passes out, but Banks shares his mask with New, and the two of them now have to share Banks's oxygen container. Gift then gets up and goes to Jamrez and blames him for this misfortune. She asks him why he bought her a plane model as her first gift, and Jamrez explains that he wants her to be brave and overcome her fear of flying. Gift soon breaks down in tears soon enough, and Jamrez embraces and consoles her. He starts singing her a birthday song, but some ghostly voices join in singing, and then there is a ghostly cart moving out of the crew rest compartment on its own. Wave gets up and pushes part of the ghostly cart through the curtains. He turns away briefly and then the cart completely disappears. Just then, and gets possessed by a ghost and starts to convulse. Afterwards she gets up and starts asking for New, saying that New left them and flew for her life, and she will die, they'll all die. She then falls back to her seat, free from the ghost that possessed her. The situation gets worse as they are running out of oxygen. Fen goes to the door to the cockpit, banging on it and asking the captain to open up, but she doesn't get any response, then she slumps and passes out, just like everyone else on board. Ghostly figures continue to appear and disappear right inside the plane. Thankfully though, Banks succeeds in fixing the air pressure system before passing out as well. The passengers soon regain consciousness and start to breathe without the help of the oxygen mask. But then they discover that the elderly woman has now passed away. Later, when New and Bank come up to the cabin, Fen confronts New, saying that somehow she is the reason why the plane is being haunted by the ghosts, asking her to leave and stay alone somewhere in the back. After the haunting becomes more intense, Prince asks New to explain what this is really about, and New narrates that 10 years back, she was the only one who survived after their plane was haunted by some ghosts, and now she is not sure if this is the same plane she boarded the last time. Then she gets a flashlight, flashes it across on the flight deck door and discovers that it is the same plane, and now there is blood spattered across the door. Some ghosts appear and the passengers run into hiding. Michelle and John, an American couple on board, lock themselves up in the bathroom, and N falls to the ground, calling on Wave for assistance. But scared for his own life, Wave does not answer. He bangs on the bathroom door, asking the couple to open up, but they don't. Wave finally decides to assist Anne. But Anne appears to have been possessed by a ghost and Wave eliminates her by hitting her in the head repeatedly with a fire extinguisher. Wave then breaks into the toilet and sees John trying to drown Michelle in the sink. Drowning his spouse, mistaking her for a ghost. Wave pulls John away from Michelle forcefully, and John gets fatally injured. Meanwhile, they still need to get into the cockpit and find a way to land the plane. But the password still isn't working yet, and the captain does not respond yet. They soon start looking for Gift, and Bank suggests she may have gone down the cargo compartment. And so Nu, Jamrus, Bank and Wave go down to check for her. In the cargo compartment, Nu reveals that she was able to survive the previous time because she had closed her eyes until the plane landed. In the cabin, Fen eliminates the monk and Michelle, mistaking them for ghosts. When the 4 ghosts start to come towards the 4 of them in the cargo compartment, they decide to resist them by closing their eyes, just as Nu claimed to have done years back. Wave doesn't close his eyes like the rest and he ends up mistaking Prince for a ghost, throwing a hammer that cuts into Prince's head when he enters the cargo compartment, eliminating him. When the 4 leave the cargo compartment and come up to the cabin, Fen eliminates Wave, mistaking him for one of the ghosts. She nearly eliminates her own daughter who's hiding before she discovers its gift. Fen is in fact too violent now, and attacks anyone she mistakes for a ghost. She cuts her husband with an axe in the back before Bank knocks her out and ties her up. Bank manages to create an opening in the flight deck door, but he can't go in yet because he can't fit into the opening. So he asks Gift to get in. He tells her the right button to press when she gets into the cockpit, and she does, even though she is nearly distracted by the haunting ghosts. The plane experiences a strong turbulence that makes everything in the plane unstable. A cupboard in the plane opens and several sharp objects fly out of it, piercing into Fen while she tries to protect her daughter. Fen collapses and passes out. In the cockpit, Bank takes the dead captain's remains away and tries to stabilize the plane. Fen gets up later and attacks Nu, trying to strangle her. In Bank's absence, Gift takes a turn controlling the plane, following Jamra's instructions, but only for a short while. Bank later takes full control of the flight. He dials a number and connects with someone from the airport staff. He quickly explains the current situation to him, and soon Bank connects with a pilot who instructs him on how to land the plane safely. Although with so much difficulty, Bank finally lands the plane. Emergency workers arrive soon enough and start taking out the remains of all those who died in the plane. In the end, only Gift, Jamrus and Bank make it out of the plane alive.